This is a tutorial on how to print positives with underbases. On some designs, it's necessary to print what's called an underbase underneath all of the colors of your design. What that does on the t-shirt is it makes it so that the colors come out really vibrant and bright instead of being muted. For example, if I was printing a yellow color onto a black garment, if I was to print just one coat of yellow, the yellow would come out very dingy because the black of the shirt would be showing through the yellow. Even if I printed two colored coats of yellow, it would still not come out really bright because yellow is not a very opaque color. So on many different designs, it is necessary for us to print what's called an underbase, which is basically a sheet of white that goes underneath all of the other colors in the design. I'm going to show you how to do that today as far as making the positives goes. To do that, first I'm going to open up my RCare design. I go to USB drive E, search RCare, Health for All. This is going to be my design I'll use. Double click on that. You'll see that I have a design that's been prepared and ready to print. The colors are already in Pantone, transparent white. Oh, and this one is not a Pantone, so we'll go ahead and select all of our gold colors. So I got the box, and I will click a totally different color. And oh, now I see that I didn't actually get all of the different elements. So I'll shift click that one, shift click this one, and pick a totally different color. And now I see I have all of the gold elements in my design. I'll pick any random gold color from my Pantone, which is my left three columns. I'll left click Pantone 142C. So now I have all of my colors in Pantone. Now I'm going to print these as positives, but instead of it being two positives, one of them white and one of them yellow, I'm going to print one that is a white underneath everything, including the yellow. Then I'll print a second one that is just the yellowish gold. Then I'll print a third one that is just the highlight white, so that both the highlight white and the gold come out really bright because they have a white underbase underneath them. There are two ways to do this. If you have a very simple design like this, you can use what I call the outline method. Here's what the outline method is. First, you would print your first two positives using the normal formula. I might change this to pink color so that I'll be able to see my registration marks. Making registration marks, like I've showed you before, I create an ellipse, I remove the fill, make an outline, so left click my X, right click my outline, click in the center, control, drag it to the side, right click release, I go back to my pick tool, lasso them, I come down and select my outline, I click on the color, I click RGB palette. Uh-oh, I didn't get the right drop down, so I'll click on this, then RGB, then registration color, exit out of that, 1 point font, okay. Now I scroll out, I grab my registration mark, I drag it to the side, right click. So now I have my registration marks ready to go. So what I would do in this case is I would first print my white and my gold like normal with no underbase. So I'll go ahead and do that. Print, gear, positive prints, OK, color, separations, separations tab, deselect my magenta, and now I have my white, which I'll preview. I'm looking to see that all of the white is coming out on my positive as a dark black print that I can create a screen with, and then 4. So now I can print both of those positives. So let's act like I just did that. Print, they both run out with their registration marks. Now I need an underbase. An easy way to do an underbase on a simple design like this would be for me to select the whole image, shift and deselect that one little part that I accidentally grabbed. And now I can add an outline to the whole image. Since I don't have any, let's say, dark blue in this, I will right-click my Pantone dark blue or purple here, and you'll see that it has added an outline on top of all of my shapes. Now, unless otherwise stipulated, outlines will always go on top of your artwork, and the thickness of the outline will be determined based on your presets. So in this case, it's a hairline. I'll double click my outline box down here, and I want to show you something. If I turn this into a very beefy outline, say a 10-point outline, you'll notice that the outline goes inside the design and outside the design. So watch this, 10-point. The design is right here in the center of this outline, and it's covering a little bit on the inside, and then it goes a little bit beyond. That's because the outline is on top of your image. If for some reason you need it to be behind the image, you can click Behind Fill, and you'll note that now the half that was covering the design is now behind your fill, and the other half goes outside as an outline. In this case, we want it in front of the fill, and we're going to change it to a 1-point outline. You'll note that that's very narrow. But what this has done is it's done what's called choking down the entire image. So instead of the image extending all the way out, I'm going to say OK. Instead of the image extending all the way out to its typical dimensions, now it has a 0.5 because this is a 1-point font. So now it has 0.5 of a font covered up. 0.5 of this 1-point font has extended beyond our fill. 0.5 is covering up the outside edge of our fill. So that's what's called choking. So now all of my lines and all of my shapes have been choked down by a 0.5 point font. And that's important because when I print my underbase, I want for my colors that print on top of it to lay over them like a bed sheet. If my highlight white or my gold is exactly the same size as my underbase, it will have a lot of trouble covering it up on all edges. And what will usually happen is that I will see a little bit of my white underbase showing on the edges of my print. So I add my 1-point outline. I keep it on top. I don't send it to the back behind the fill. I make it 1 point. I say OK. Now the last thing I need to do is I need to change all of it to a single color because I want my underbase to print under my white and under my yellow. So I'll left click my Pantone transparent white, and now this will be my underbase. It goes underneath all of the elements of my design. It's been choked down a little bit so that each color will be able to overlap the choked down underbase. And then I can go back to my print. I can click on my separations tab, deselect my magenta, deselect my violet. Oh, I'll apply that. I didn't actually change my printout size, so go positive prints. OK, apply. Now this is going to look almost identical to my white screen with one exception. My white screen doesn't have the word for. You'll note that it was only the health, the cross, and then the all. The gold is the for, so my underbase includes all of the elements. And also my underbase has choked down so that each of the elements has slightly smaller choked down appearance, and that's going to make my underbase work properly. Then I'll print that. When printed, I will take my underbase positive because it can be very easy, especially if, say, I was just printing a white image, and I was doing 500 of them, but I didn't want to print 2 coats with the same screen on 500 shirts. Instead, I wanted to print an underbase and highlight white so it went very quickly on the automatic press. I would use an underbase and choke it down like normal. Now, if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to tell at all which one my underbase was and which one my highlight white was. So in that case, I would simply write UB on the positive so that I can tell which one is which. The highlight white one would get HW on it. Now, that's our first method. This is a long video. Our second method, I'm going to go back. Our second method is a aspect of our program that can do this automatically, and it can do it with multiple colors. And you will find that there are some designs that it is not practical to add the outline, because perhaps there are multiple different shapes overlapping one another, and you'll note that the outlines, when you create an outline to cover over certain aspects of the design, it will mess up the whole design. So the other thing that we can do is we can go to what's called simple steps. So first I'm going to lasso my entire design to do simple steps. Control C to copy it into a different window. I will start a new document, click OK, Control V to paste it. Now simple steps only works if your whole design is inside of the document. So I'll take my background color and drag it in so it's all inside the document. Now I will come over, I will open up a new Docker with plus, and I can't see that, so let me open up my Docker's tab and go down to Advanced Tools. Now my Advanced Tools Docker is open. I will click on Simple Steps at the top. I will click on my Color Management tab. I will say Create Selection Palette. I only have the magenta selected, so I'll select away from everything and I'll click it again. Now it got my Pantone 142C, my Process Magenta, and my Transparent White. This is a very powerful program that can do a lot of things, and I won't show you all of those right now. So it has all the colors that I've selected, and it's selected them all. Now I'll go to my Separations tab, and you'll see here that asks, do I want a white base? That's the same as an underbase. I say yes, and I want to choke it by 2 pixels. It doesn't go by outlines, instead it goes by number of pixels, and choking it with 2 pixels is plenty. I do want my highlight white to print, I don't want the magenta to print, and I do want the gold to print. Now you'll see that each one of them asks enable or disable white base for this color. I want it to print underneath my highlight white and my gold, so it's already enabled for gold. I'll scroll up and highlight white. It automatically prints underneath the highlight white, I guess. Now I also have the option, if I need to make sure that my gold would cover my white, I could also say spread my gold. And that would make it so that the highlight white was choked by 2 pixels, the gold is spread by 2 pixels, so that would make it 4-point difference. That usually is not necessary unless we're printing something that really requires that. So in this case, we'll just keep it no spread, but we will choke our highlight white by, or our underbase by 2 points. Now I come down here to the black print output options and I click Rich Black and I generate my separations. This can take anywhere from 10 seconds to several minutes, depending on how complex the design is. But what it's doing is it is creating us an underbase and positives ready to go for each of my designs. So you'll note that it has created a new document for me, and it has several pages on my document on the bottom. I'm going to exit out of this window. First, I have my original art. I can right-click, delete that. Then it shows me my page 1. This is going to be my underbase, I think. Well, let's see. It's been mixing them up. So I'll right-click, delete, halftones. That's going to be my highlight white. This is my underbase, and this is my gold. And you'll see that it has created registration marks for us. Now we can use those registration marks or not. Usually, because I don't like to print really big positives for only this, I will select the whole thing and crop it down. And that way I'll have one little nub of a registration mark, and that's fine for me. So I will select around that, Control X to remove it. I'll go back to page 1, click on it, and Control V. And I'll drag that to the side. Now I'll go back, right click, delete that page. Now I'm at my highlight white. I'll lasso it. I will crop it so that the top and bottom registration mark don't take up more positive space. Enter. Space bar to go back and toggle between tools, right? I was at crop. Now I'm at my pick tool. I will Control X. Go back to page 1. Control V. Now this time I'm going to grab it and control and move it up so that it's on the same area. Now I'll lasso both of them together, my highlight white and my underbase, control and drag it down so it fits on my positive. You'll see that I actually have room for one more. So I'll select this hole, 4, and drag it down and put it there as well. Now I'll come to my second page, right click, delete, and I have my page ready to go. Now when I do this, I click Save, USB drive E, put it in the general folder of whatever year it is, and I type in the original title, which was AR Care Health for All, and then I say SEPS. That stands for separations, so that if I decide to print it again, I can do it with one click. I don't have to recreate everything. I'll save that, and now I can print it as a composite image. So I'll go to General, the color wheel, Positive Prints, OK, Apply, Color tab, Composite, Apply, and I can see on my preview that I have all of my elements ready to go. I can print. Now you'll note that I printed all of these designs on the same positive. So I print them off and then I'll have to cut them apart. The top will be the highlight white and I'll cut it physically when it gets printed. The middle one will be my underbase, I'll cut it, and the third one will be my gold and I'll cut it. And each of these will go onto a separate screen.